पहली मीटिंग में डर निकाल दिया
और बेचैनी से भी।
हाथ थामा, दिल जीत लिया।
मेरा बर्थडे सेलिब्रेट किया, मेरे लिए बर्थडे केक लेकर के आए।
हर दिन जोक सुनाया,
उम्मीद दी,
हौसला दिया,
आंखानी रोशनी की,
मौत के मुंह से खींच लाए,
खुले आसमान से मिलवाया,
दोबारा घर से मिलवाए, माँ से।
माँ जैसा ख्याल रखा। थैंक यू डॉक्टर।
थैंक यू डॉक्टर।
थैंक यू।
Thank you for saving my life.
थैंक यू।
You my hero.
Sun Pharma, reaching people, touching lives.
Namaskar everybody. Dr. K.K. Agarwal here. Greetings from Heart Care Foundation of India and MedTalks. And we are in a session today, Ergonomics before clinical restart. I'll hand it over to Dr. Sunila Garg. She is a director professor and Department of Community Medicine in Maulana Azad Medical College, an expert, a public health expert, done an extensive work on all aspects of public health, starting from HIV to COVID. And the subject is very important, is ergonomics before clinical restart. Dr. Sunila Garg.
good morning everyone across the nation and maybe across the globe. I don't know how many people are from outside, so good morning, good evening to all of you. So today we are going to discuss a very, very important topic on ergonomics. How you see this is a very, very important point of concern from each one of us, from the perspective of the provider, that is the service provider, how my clinic should be, how my surroundings should be. Very, very important from the client's perspective, that I am going to go to this clinic, whether I am safe in entering this clinic and all that. So to address this concern, we do have a very, very eminent specialist, Dr. K.K. Agarwal, and we are going to discuss the fundamental issues which are related to ergonomics in context of clinics. And we will be discussing threadbare basically as to how you see right from the entry to the user-friendly clinic, to the client's perspective, to the provider's perspective, and to the other staff who is involved in that, how each one of them has got a very, very critical role to play. And this will not only be helpful in empowering the providers, but it will also help in empowering our clients, because an empowered provider is always going to help the client as well, that my provider knows everything and can take care about me. So to address this issue, we have Dr. K.K. Agarwal. So Dr. K.K. Agarwal, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sunila. And let me see, I want to share some slide before I go to, yes. So before I start the main topic, why it is important to talk about this subject today, specifically when we have, this subject should have been discussed maybe 2 months back when we are talking about reopening of clinics. Why we are discussing in the month of July? Because there has been a paradigm shift in our understanding the concept of COVID-19 starting from March to July. Unless we understand that paradigm shift, we will not be able to understand how to restart the clinic. We used to say this is a viral illness, but now we know it's a mysterious virus. So the recommendations will change every day. This lecture may not be valid next month, but we have to live in the present and work according to the present. Why? Because this virus causes no joint involvement, no lymph nodes involvement, and no hoarseness of voice. So therefore, is it really a viral respiratory illness? We don't know. It is now we know it causes inflammation and it causes thrombosis. So therefore, in our clinical practice, the pattern of practice will change. And now we know that day 3, 4, 5, 6 are important. That means when we start a clinic, we will have two types of patients. That means patients who are day 3, day 4, day 5, and day 6 will be given preference in appointments than patients other than 6 days. Now we talk about physical distancing and not social distancing. Therefore, make sure that in the patient, you don't make him feel like that he is untouchable. Now we know that it is not only a macro droplet, but also micro droplet. Therefore, if our clinic toilet is being used by people, and if it is not fitting, whatever precautions you take, you are transmitting infection to others. And if our clinic is ill ventilated, we are in problem. We know that surface to human transmission is not that important. Therefore, more important is physical distancing than touching the surfaces. They are important. We know this virus is not going to be killed by the heat or increases by humidity. There was a time when we were talking about no masking, then we talked about masking, and now we are talking about N95 masking. So in the clinic, only N95 mask, because we are talking about micro droplets now. Now we are talking about masking, not only if you are dealing a public dealing, even masking at home. So our recommendation has to be even masking at home. Initially, we were talking 3 feet distancing. Now we are talking 6 feet distancing. Now we are shifting it to 9 feet distancing in clinics wherever possible. Initially, we were talking about lockdown. Now we are talking about personal lockdown, means maintaining a distance of 6 feet all around me. Yesterday, we were talking about high mortality. Now we know low mortality. So therefore, our patients, we have to give them assurance. Don't worry, I am with you. Initially, it was institutional care. Now it is home care. Initially, you were not allowed to admit patients in hospitals. Now you have a full liberty of admitting patients in the home. Now home care will be the GPs, hospitals. You will now own, you will say, I have 10 patients admitted in their home. You no more need to go, because telemedicine now is the reality. Mandatory ventilator to non-invasive ventilation. Therefore, only 1% people will require ventilation. Therefore, you should be able to manage patients at home till they require a ventilator. Initially, we used to say children are risk to grandparents. Today, we say no. Yesterday, we used to say menstruation has no role. Today, we see menstruation reduces illness severity. Yesterday, we were talking, it's a virus, no steroids. Now we are talking about early low-dose steroids. Yesterday, we were talking, give hydroxychloroquine to all. Now we say in mild cases, it has no role. Yesterday, we were talking about late discharge. Now we are talking about early discharge. That means this patient will come back to you from the hospital within 3 to 4 days. Therefore, you need to follow. Yesterday, we were talking about no pool test. Now we are talking about pool test. Pool test means if a patient comes to you with a corona-like illness, ask him to get a test and ask all the family to get a pooled RT-PCR test so that the reports come simultaneously. Pool test means up to 64 people can have a pool test. ICMR says 5 and government of Kerala says 20 people. Yesterday, we were talking about that CT value of RT-PCR is not important. Now we know CT value of RT-PCR is very, very important. That means we must know the virus load. Lower the value, higher the viral load. Yesterday, we were talking only about RT-PCR antigen test. Today, we are talking about rapid antigen, and we are talking about antibodies testing. And antibodies testing is done by the blood. Therefore, sooner or later, all laboratories in clinic will start doing the antibody test in their clinics. Yesterday, we were talking about, yesterday means last 3 months. Yesterday, we were talking about isolation. Now we are talking about all COVID positive patients can stay together at home. Therefore, if you have 5 patients who are COVID positive, and if they stay at home, you are only giving them telemedicine consultation, you can charge for 5 patients. Yesterday, we were talking about isolation. Now we are talking about isolation, quarantine, and monitoring. Yesterday, we were talking about only government treatment. Now we know private doctors can treat. Yesterday, we were talking about oxygen means hospitalization. Today, we know we can give oxygen at home. Yesterday, we were talking about no testing. Today, we are talking about liberal testing. Yesterday, government prescription was necessary. Today, private doctors can give prescriptions. Yesterday, we were talking about only pulmonary COVID. Today, we know non-pulmonary COVID is very, very, very important. And non-pulmonary COVID mortality is very, very low. Yesterday, we were talking about no fever, no COVID. Today, we know fever is not necessary. Yesterday, we were talking about all patients, majority are asymptomatic. Today, we know they still have symptoms which are not coming, which are called atypical symptoms. Yesterday, we were talking about high-grade fever. Now we are talking about low-grade persistent fever. Today, we are
Dr.
talking
Agarwal, can we open the slide in full mode? That is a comment, if we can do that. If we can open the PPT in a PowerPoint presentation mode.
yes.
So slideshow.
Is it okay? So yesterday we were talking about transmission in joint families. Now the risk will increase in nuclear families. Yesterday we were talking about toilets are not a risk. Today we are talking about toilets, a COVID box. Yesterday we were talking about a contact time is 30 minutes and 10 minutes. Today we are talking in the clinics 15 minutes and 5 minutes. Yesterday we were talking about testing till the patient is antigen negative. Today we know that repeat antigen testing is not required. Yesterday we were talking about stigma. Today we are talking about no stigma. Yesterday we were talking about low mortality among doctors. Today we are talking about high mortality amongst doctors. Yesterday we were talking about engineering. Today we are talking about social engineering. Now this social engineering means, which I will discuss it in the clinic as we talk about. So let me come back with this with these changes over the last 3 months. Our changes in the clinics will also change. The way we practice will also change.
So, Dr. Agarwal, to take up from here, I will pick up few points so that
Yes.
you know everybody is with us. You started with that it is a mysterious virus. Now, basically, it is day 3, 4, 5, 6 becomes very important from the client perspective and from the provider's perspective to give them prior appointments. And we are talking of physical distancing. You talked about now it is no more a macro infection; it is a micro infection. Ergonomics in terms of ventilation becomes a very, very crucial issue. And most important thing which I noticed was that even masking at home is another important area of concern. And earlier we were talking of very high mortality. Now we talk of low mortality. Telemedicine has come to the forefront. So more and more providers should be well versed with that whole issue. And also from the ventilation perspective, we have gone to from the invasive to preference to the non-invasive. And from the gender perspective, now menstruation has also become very important. So these are some of the important things. And HCQ has got, particularly role in the cases with the lower this thing in infections. And early discharge is the key to the solution. And also, particularly if there is a requirement that patient is not very sick, we can go for the early discharge. And you focused on the pool testing and you focused on the value of RT-PCR, the lower the value. And then again, we are talking about rapid antigen testing also. And all COVID patients can together stay at home. And also, I think last time you had also mentioned that if there is an infected provider, he can take care of the infected patients as well. Another thing is that to empower the communities, you made a very, very important point is that oxygen at home, that is the crux of the thing. And another thing is that basically we need to talk about, repeat antigen testing is not required because people were unnecessarily having, stay at the hospital and a long stay, which was a painful stay. So that is where we need to, also sensitize our providers. That means we need to see that the person becomes asymptomatic and he can be discharged. So this is where is our common point from where we begin and we take it further. So you will enlighten us for the other things about understanding ergonomics in healthcare.
Thank you, Sunila ji. And before I start my proper presentation, this meeting is supported by Sun Pharma, but I have to give an acknowledgement. All this data is my own. and all the data, all the research, all the points are based on my own work. I have seen over 3,000 patients, and the amount of fear the public has needs to be removed. With that in objective, we requested Sun Pharma to, we are requesting every pharmaceutical company to have such sessions, because it is only online meetings are possible. So we thought of involving various pharmaceutical companies so that they can cater to the doctors and ask them to attend this seminar. So what is the point of this webinar is that once this webinar is over, you will be able to understand the ergonomics in healthcare. So this ergonomics is two, that is a physical or actual ergonomics, but you will also understand social ergonomics. That we will come back. Getting back to clinics will involve personal barriers, but not emotional barriers. What is the infrastructure within the clinic? About the environment, which will talk about fan, which will talk about the toilet, everything. Then remote support, and that is telemedicine. Then health and nutrition. That is going to be the basic thing. Then it will talk about if you have a laboratory infrastructure, that means if you have a setup for blood collection, if you are doing a point of care testing, diagnostic infrastructure, sooner or later, every clinic will have an antigen antibody test, a spot test in your clinic. You will not be able to practice unless you have a spot test. Maybe in another 2 weeks, you will have spot tests available in your clinic, which will detect IgM and IgG like a dengue structure. You will have a first aid at the clinic. First aid will involve like HIV, you say exposure. You have a pre-exposure prophylaxis. Similar here, the first aid means if you have an accidental exposure to a patient, what to do. It will have a counseling COVID-19 information center, which you can charge, because most of the patients will come for counseling than for the treatment. And then you need to know about international practice guidelines. Ergonomics is the scientific discipline concerned with the understanding of interactions among humans and other elements of a system performance. When we talk about COVID-19, the purpose of this is to reduce error, infections, injuries, or illnesses, increase productivity, reduce health problems, and it applies to information technology and facility improvements. And so therefore, it is very important when we are reopening. Reopening does not mean that you are not running your clinic. Reopening basically means updating and changing your clinic infrastructure every day. So every day when you open your clinic, it's a reopening because you have a new knowledge with you. So you cannot say I've already opened my clinic. No, in the COVID era, every day you require to change some parameters based on the current understanding. The three key factors to consider while opening clinics is limit the entry of infection into the clinic or the hospital. Your clinic may be in the hospital. First is, if I can prevent an infection, why not? If I prevent an infection, why not? And if my patient gets an infection, so what? These are the two basic principles. Therefore, if he or she gets an infection, isolate the symptomatic or asymptomatic or atypical symptomatic patient at the earliest, and then provide protections to healthcare and other staff employed at the clinic or the hospital. So I tell all of you to have a written protocol, a written standard operating procedure, that I am starting a clinic. If tomorrow I am getting detected, what should I do? If my nurse is getting positive, what do I do? If my pharmacist is detected positive, what do I do? If a patient visits me, he turns out to be COVID, what do I do? So there are standard principles here, and the standard principle is a contact time of less than 10 minutes is not going to spread the infection in a routine atmosphere. That means if you have a open door and अगर आगे का दरवाजा खुला हुआ है, there are windows in your room and you have cross ventilation in your room, then your contact time with the patient is 10 to 30 minutes. But if you have a closed room, absolutely closed room, no exhaust, split AC, no window, then your contact time with the patient should not be more than 5 minutes. You see a patient for 5 minutes and ask him, rest we will discuss on phone. So your contact time with patient per patient will depend upon the ergonomics. What is your clinic? Is it a chamber or is it an open structure? So today, if you have a open, suppose there is no rain, and if you have a veranda in front of your room, you can sit there in sunlight and see the patient. That is the best. So first of all is standardization of equipment, processes, and communication channel necessary in clinic, which is a standard. Then workstation assignment, you assign job to everybody. You decide about the shift. You divide about the shift changes and shift scheduling. Now in a hospital, the formula is 7 days. 7 days duty, 7 days off. Internationally, it is 7 days working and 7 days off. Would mean that you run your clinic, a hospital with the COVID patients, you work for 7 days, and then you make it off for 7 days. But those 7 days, you are not supposed to be with your family. You are supposed to be in a hotel. But we are not talking about a COVID clinic, and we are not talking about a non-COVID hospital. In a COVID clinic, you will have to follow the same principle. 7 days clinic, 7 days no clinic, because you assume you may have got infected. But here comes a second type of a thing, which is called pooled testing. Now, what is a pool testing? Let me give you 3 examples of a pool testing. Our great cine star, the Big B, got infected. He was found to be positive. On the same day when he was detected to be positive, there were 24 people working in his room, in his office. All of them should have been done a pooled test together. If the pool test is negative, RT-PCR, you know everybody is negative. So therefore, if I have a patient today, and if I see a patient today, I'm wearing a N95 mask, he is wearing a surgical mask or a N95 mask, my contact time with him is less than 30 minutes, and my area, my clinic is well ventilated, and in the evening I get a report that he was positive, so my answer will be, so what? I'm not going to close my clinic, because adequate precautions were taken. He was wearing a mask, I was wearing a mask, and my contact time was less than 30 minutes. But if I have a ill ventilated clinic with a central AC or a split AC, without a air purifier, without a plasma available in my clinic to UV plasma available, then my contact time will shift to 15 minutes. In that particular situation, if a patient has met me for more than 15 minutes, then I will desanitize and decontaminate my clinic and close it for 2 hours. So therefore, when we are running a COVID clinic, our shift changes will be different, shift scheduling will be different. But when we are running a non-COVID clinic, which most of us will be, we will still have COVID patients coming in which are unexpected. The answer is, so what? So first of all is screening of the patient. So when a patient comes to you in the clinic, offer him 5 things. First of all, give him some jaggery to eat. उसको अच्छा लगेगा कि आप उसका वेलकम जैगरी से कर रहे हो, but you are testing loss of taste for sweet taste. The first one to go is the sweet taste. Then I give him a rose and ask him, can you smell it? If he can't, it's COVID. Third, check for his SpO2 levels. If SpO2 level is normal, then he doesn't have a happy hypoxia. Then check for his temperature. If low grade temperature is not there, you know in the daytime, you know he is not, because this temperature will not respond to paracetamol. In spite of paracetamol, the fever will be there. Then give him a check his strength by a wrist. We check the wrist strength by a special equipment. Otherwise, give him a BP instrument and see how much he can press. If he says he's feeling less strength, fever, cannot smell, cannot taste, or low SpO2, don't allow him to enter the clinic. He is COVID positive. Then a COVID positive protocol needs to be followed. Up till now, we were only checking the fever, but now we know fever, more important is loss of smell and loss of taste. So when you screen the patients in the clinic, obviously you are following physical distancing and you are reducing the direct contact, but you are checking for 5 things: loss of smell, loss of taste, then SpO2 level, and then you are checking is his temperature and the grip strength.
Yeah.
Then it comes to the doctor's consultation room. You may have a single room where you are also sitting, patient is also sitting. Then we do not allow the patient to sit face to face. Make him sit face to side. You are sitting in front, he's sitting on your side. Both air will not meet each other. Chances of infection are low. Do not allow the patient to sit on a chair in front of you. No relation should be allowed to sit in front of you. The patient will be sitting on your side, and the one relation is only allowed inside, and he's standing with the patient on your side so that there is no face-to-face interaction between you. Now, when you are having, because there is no way you can have a 6 feet distance with the patient, because you need to check his pulse. Therefore, make them sit side to face. Devote not more than 5 minutes. And during these 5 minutes, you need to examine the patient and then let him go. Your pre-history has to be sent by the patient on a telemedicine. So all the checking of your records, no question of today. Because if you start seeing the whole file, 10 minutes will be over. So patient will send you in advance at the time of appointment is pre-history chart. You quickly examine, and if it is not an emergency, write investigations, and you say follow-up will be on telemedicine. Or you say we will discuss on phone. So you are spending time with the patient should be less than 15 minutes, preferably 5 minutes. So first patient 15 minutes, follow-up 5 minutes. Patient waiting area should be minimum. Patient should be waiting their car or scooter or in their 3-wheeler. You call them, your number has come, they should enter inside, because most of the doctors may not have a big reception center. And in a reception center, chances of cross infections are very high. So in a doctor's clinic, yes, ask the patient to wait, give them a call, they come, they spend 15 minutes and they go, then the next patient comes. But if you have a patient waiting area, you must maintain a physical distancing and keep enough sanitizers there. If possible, keep an air purifier in your clinic with minimum 6 exchanges per hour with a 0.3 filter. That gives less chances of transmission between patients to patient, patient and doctors to patient. You must have a necessary safety equipment, that is N95 mask, and enough number of simple gloves outside, because you need to change your gloves again and again. If you are wearing an N95 mask, with every patient wear a surgical mask over the N95 and dispose that surgical mask. Surgical mask is 1 rupee. Therefore, your N95 mask will not have to be reused when you see the next patient. So a patient comes to you, wear a surgical mask, see the patient, take the surgical mask, dispose of, N95 mask continues with that. And that surgical mask should be 3-layered. 3-layer means outer layer has to be water repellent, inner layer has to be water absorbent, and middle layer has to be a filter. Now, working safely with the patients in outpatient clinics, appointment to be fixed through call. No walk-in unless it is an emergency. Even if it is an emergency, if it is a walk-in, presume it to be COVID positive. Remember, COVID today will present with atypical manifestation and acute emergencies. It can present with acute dental pain, acute tonsillitis, acute appendicitis, acute urinary colic, acute tinnitus, seizures, acute MI, acute diarrhea. These all can be the presentations of COVID. Remember, COVID can present as acute viral, acute inflammatory condition, and acute thrombotic condition. Therefore, no walk-ins. Walk-ins should only be if you are handling COVID patient. And that, before coming, ask the patient to check the weight, blood pressure, and temperature at home. And ask them to check 6-minute walk test. Ask them that ghar mein 6-minute walk karo, and inform that whether on walking for 6 minutes, whether your heart rate increases or not, whether your SpO2 falls or not, presume that to be COVID. And when they come back to your clinic, do those 5 testings. Reach the doctor's clinic on the assigned time, only one accompanying person if needed. If needed. Do not allow more than one person. Wear a face mask, wear shoe covers. Remember, a patient may be coming from a chemist shop. Before coming to you, he may have visited a chemist shop, and chemist shop is a harbor of infection on the floor. Enough international data. Therefore, give them a shoe cover. Charge for it. It's a 2 rupees shoe cover. Give every patient a shoe cover to enter your clinic. When you are giving a consultation, do not do any aerosol producing procedure. That means do not ask the patient to puff, to blow forcibly. When you are checking his bag, don't ask him, "Jor se saans lo." No. And do not give them nebulization. Proper sitting arrangement with face to side. Wash hands with soap and water or alcohol-based hand rub immediately after entering the clinic. This is what you have done. Then those 5 tests at the entry. Clean and sanitize the doctor's room regularly. Room should be airy, fully ventilated. Make digital payment, exit clinic. I make the payments in advance. If a patient is filing for an appointment, I would say, this is Paytm, this is my Paytm, pay, then we will give you a teleconsultation appointment. So you can have charges made beforehand. Now I'll give you a simple rule of a telemedicine consult. And this is what most of the doctors are doing, that we go to Zoom and we say our clinic in Zoom. So in Zoom, there is a personal chamber, which is free. In the personal chamber is your phone number, and you can tell your doctors that from 9 to 11, I'm doing a Zoom conference, Zoom consultation. So everybody will come in that Zoom consultation. They are waiting, and you can choose one by one. So your waiting room is also electronic. You call one by one. So therefore, what I recommend is, first consultation should be on telephone. Second consultation should be on Zoom, where you have a standard OPD, patients are waiting, you see them one by one. And then if you assess this patient has no chances of COVID and he needs a face-to-face consultation, call him in the clinic. So if you have 2 clinic hours, morning and evening, then you do morning hours as a telemedicine consultation, and evening consultation you can have a face-to-face. Your exposure time to the patients reduces, and you can screen today on a teleconsultation whether this patient is suspected to be a COVID or not. Now, safety gear will depend upon help desk and reception, doctor's chamber, pharmacy counter if you have, and a sanitary staff if you have. So in a help desk reception, you have a pamphlet, give the patient to, let him fill up all atypical symptoms, whether they have it or not. Ask patient to fill up for all tick mark whether they have any atypical symptoms, because they will not tell you that they had one loose motion. They will not tell you 2 days back they had a transient rash. They will not tell you they had 2 days back a ear pain which recovered. They will not tell you 4 days back they had a blurring of vision. So therefore, give them a form to fill up for atypical symptoms, and then give them a triple layer mask, give them a glove, and physical distancing to be maintained. Doctors, no aerosol, and doctors wear N95 masks, and pharmacy will distribute drugs in plastic bags. That is very, very, very important, and frequent hand sanitizing, and sanitary staff will make sure that they are wearing a triple N95 mask and they are cleaning with a bleaching solution, which is 7 grams of bleaching powder with 1 liter of fluid of water. So home to clinic and home daily roadmap. This is for a doctor. You are, as soon as you reach the clinic, you sanitize yourself, wear protective gear, sanitize consultation room. So what I recommend is that like a OT dress, so you carry a OT dress with you. As soon as you enter the clinic, you change to the OT dress. If you change to the OT dress, so your everything except for the OT gown, not gown, OT dress means a pajama and a kurta you are on. So therefore you are not going to spread infections to other. Over that you can use a PPE, and that PPE now you can also order them in the form of a pajama and a shirt with that. And then you enter the clinic area and all those you follow which we have talked just now. Now, these are all the things which we have already discussed about. What we have discussed is the same thing. Now, getting back to clinic environmental requirement, make sure there is enough light. If you have a UV light, nothing like it. Make sure that humidity, airflow, and temperature, your room is as much ventilated as possible. Teleconsultations, remember a couple of things in the teleconsultation law. Always ask the patient to initiate. If you are initiating, you need to keep the records. Number 2, take it for granted that your teleconsultations are being recorded by the patient. So never be rough, always speak politely, handle them with care, because when you are discussing in a clinic, there is no proof that you are being recorded, but every teleconsultation is being recorded. Then you must talk about nutrition and hydration to the patients, because if the patient does not pass urine in 4 to 6 hours, he can go to kidney failure. So therefore, give them a nutritional advice, give them hydration, tell them safety at home, safety in the transport. Then you must not work out in such a way that you end up into a burnout and you reduce your stress by relaxing yourself. Diagnostic laboratory infrastructure is only for those who have diagnostic centers, and they have set ICMR guidelines, and they have set guidelines from your NABL that how to collect a sample and how to do that. But remember, with the blood, virus doesn't move. If you take the blood out, the virus does not transmit by the blood or by the urine. It is only going to transmit by the respiratory tract. So if you are collecting a blood from a patient, if you have a laboratory, you require standard precautions of N90, N95 masking and nothing more than that. This is for laboratories. These are available in, if you are NABL, these are standard NABL precautions. So you must have a first aid. First aid basically will be that if you develop a COVID-19, or if you get an exposure, or if the patient gets an exposure, the only first aid is management of acute stress. You need to manage an acute stress at that situation. Number 2 is if a person has entered your clinic, he goes back, becomes COVID positive, and everybody will start coming there, and they will start coming there and say, you have spread the infection. So therefore, there is an important COVID consent. Whenever a patient comes, he gives an undertaking that I understand that due precautions are being taken by this clinic and by the doctor. By any chance, if the infection spreads, it is at the patient's own risk and not at the doctor's risk. If you do not take that COVID consent, people will come back and they will start filing cases against you. You never told us that there is a risk in the clinic. We would not have come. We would have taken a telemedicine consultation. And then you should have all possible first aid solution. Most infection is disinfection, disinfection, disinfection. Chlorine dioxide tablets are available. which can be put into water, and you can leave the clinic in 1 hour, and the whole clinic will get disinfected. In 2 hours, the whole clinic will get disinfected. You must have a COVID information center outside your clinic, whether it is pamphlets, whether it is flow charts, whether your own videos, and patients should be able to, and then you have to have a information center to book your appointments, which can be done from your house, which can be done by your receptionist can be in our home and manage the whole thing. And in your clinic, you can be the only person. Do not decongest your clinic except for a table, patient's chair, and a patient's stool and a bed. Do not keep anything else in the clinic. Rest all your receptionists can manage the patients from home. You should have only one attendant at the gate who can handle the cases. So these are some of the guidelines. So this initially I had made earlier, but I am trying to say is guidelines have to be followed, Indian guidelines, which I said initially. Whatever there is a paradigm shift are the guidelines based on Indian guidelines. So I'll basically like to interact with Madam and with all the questions which have come.
Thank you so much, Dr. Agarwal, for your key 12 points, which I'm going to look at it very critically, and I'm going to summarize them for our listeners also. That first thing, which is very, very important, is that fear needs to be removed. It is almost 4 months since we have started talking. The more we talk, the more we deal with precautions is very, very important thing. Ergonomics in healthcare is very important. Number 2 is not the social but physical distance. Physical barriers are very important, and you really highlighted that the patient should be sitting on the side so that his breath doesn't come to the provider's breath. The personal barriers are very important. How the clinic infrastructure. Today we talk of not a AC clinic, but a well ventilated clinic with a good illumination. Even you said that veranda is going to be very, very, that can be, if there is veranda, then we are blessed. Earlier we talked of that old veranda culture, but now we are talking of this has to be revisited now if we have that. And another thing which you focus importance on remote support, and as much remote support we have, that means first you talk on the phone, then you have a Zoom consultation, then you provide a consultation which should be less than 10 minutes, and then clients can easily wait out. Everybody understands that I can be infected, so that is important. Another thing, when they enter the clinic, you said you give good, so even pediatricians are fond of giving sweet toffees also. So that is where I said that they can use toffee also if the children are fond of it. So that was my another addition to that what you said. And then you said health and nutrition, so very critical, otherwise also which was neglected. But thanks to the COVID times, and thanks to you personally, and thanks to our upbringing at Sevagram Medical College, that where we focus upon these basics from the beginning. Another thing which you pointed out, and a very beautiful video is available on laboratory infrastructure in terms of spot test, and that's a very easy test. And maybe those who are participating, we can circulate the videos to all that video to all of them, so that how the test is done. It is so very easy, following all the universal precautions. Another thing is to look at basically the regulatory infrastructure. One has to be well prepared and display SOPs in black and white in your clinic, and take a consent from and take a undertaking from the patient that this clinic is following the so-called as COVID consent, that this clinic is following all the standard precautions, and also is not scary, and it is a user friendly clinic. And then another thing which is important is, you pointed out very important thing, is that first aid at the clinic and counseling, which we say that it is not only a dialogue from one side, from the doctor's side, but it is a two-way communication where doctor is a patient listener. But then we have to take care of the time, which should be less than 10 minutes. And then again, we do have to follow the guidelines. Now, earlier we used to talk of the Indian guidelines. Now we are talking of the international standard guidelines. But important thing which I got, and which has to be communicated to all is, earlier we were fond of having this thing, that thing in our clinic. Please decongest your clinic. That is the important message. And make use of teleconsultation. We all are they're, using our smartphones in time immemorial, but now it is the time to actually make use of the telemedicine, because you see, when we are doing the virtual seminars, where virtual webinars and all coming near to you, so you can say that you don't feel the distance. So 3 times, as Dr. Agarwal said, that first have a teleconsultation, then you can have a Zoom meeting, you can have a, then real interaction. But remember, at this point of time, even, Indian medical graduate course also talks of right communication skills. So there is a lot to do with the communication skills. And please see that you are not abrupt, you are not abrasive, you are addressing all the concerns of the client on the phone, and total recording is being done, which is another important thing, that communication skills, and you must address the concerns of the client. So thank you so much for raising these issues, Dr. Agarwal. With this, if there are any questions,
there are some questions. Is Zubari Akram Pasha. Sir, good morning. This is Dr. Zubari Akram Pasha, GP, not going to clinic since last 3 months, 49 years, cabbage, IDDM. Should I go to visit my clinic or ignore? So it is 11:40, 11:50, 12 o'clock, you can see the first patient. Why are you afraid of not seeing the patients? Take precautions, start your clinic. No doctor should be afraid. And if you don't want to see COVID patients, then you say this is a non-COVID clinic, and but still COVID patients will come. Then your number of COVID patients will be less. But you can have the same thing: first meeting on phone, second on teleconsultation, which can be on Zoom, and then third meeting you call them personally. By that time, if you have, and remember, after 9 days, all are non-COVID patients. So you can triage your patients and do that. Then there is a question of Sonu Machanda: how reliable is IgG antibodies stat? Is it advisable to get now? I had all symptoms later January, which lasted for 20 to 25 days. So it's already 6 months, Sonu. So we don't know whether IgG now will be positive or not. This IgG test is only checking the protein of the spike protein. It is not testing proteins of others. So we don't know. It may be lasting only for 2 months. Even if your test is negative, doesn't matter. Sir, I have a breathing problem right now. What should I do? I'm not able to smell or taste anything. So Sagar Singh ji, no smell, no taste is a good prognosis. Nothing is going to happen. These patients after 9 days can have a smaller airway obstruction lasting for a couple of months. Nothing to worry.
And also, you raise a very important point about, they need not be worried if they suspected a COVID positive. They can, decontaminate their clinic with the chlorine dioxide and all that. So that, and wait for 2 hours, they can again go back to this thing. So this is new normal, what we talk about.
See, if you have, number one is, suppose your clinic needs to be disinfected. And suppose you take 1 liter of water with 7 grams of bleaching solution, and you take a wet mopping cloth. Okay. You don't need to wash the walls. There is no recommendation that you clean the walls. There is no recommendation that you clean the roof. The virus cannot reach the roof. The virus cannot reach the roof. There is only recommendation is that highest surfaces. Suppose I'm sitting on a table, then I clean the table. I don't need to clean anything below the table because the virus cannot go there. So highest surfaces and reachable surfaces needs to be cleaned. That's all. You need to clean the toilet. In the toilet, you clean the toilet seat the last. So therefore, you need to clean the door, the doorknobs. You need to clean the table. You need to clean your stool. So instead of having chairs, have a stool for the patient, which is a metallic stool, which can easily be cleaned. So therefore, instead of have only one stool, one chair for you, and your chair also should be in such a way which should be cleaned. And you require a bed for the patient, where you can have disposable sheets. For every patient, change the sheet and put it into the cleaning box. So what else you require? You require few equipment, just clean them. So instead of filling the whole room and you should have a iPad with you. Write your prescription and send it. So minimum exposure, minimal equipment, you should be able to do that.
And
And
there
you
is a
don't need
disposable.
to decontaminate the whole room, only surfaces.
Yeah, and there is, you know, on the patient sheet, instead, if people do not have the facility to wash them, maybe we can have that disposable long roll which can be fit up
That's what I'm
on
saying.
the side.
Disposable.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Disposable sheet.
Yeah.
Have a disposable sheet and dispose it off. That's it. There is,
that's important.
I mean, and everybody will accept it. Everybody will appreciate it.
Yes.
The less number of equipments you have in the room, the more number. If you have a small room, so most of the clinics may be in a garage, most of the clinics may be in a small area. Just have it open. And if you have a open space outside your clinic, put a table and sit there. Let the sunlight come. There was a barefooted doctor. Now we are talking about an open doctor. You sit in an open place and sit it. If I am the policy maker, I will convert all COVID OPDs on India Gate. Open, दूर दूर में जैसे कैंप होते हैं वहां बैठ के देख रहे हो. Enough physical distancing. No, ऊपर sunlight आ रही है, air आ रहा है, सब कुछ आ रहा है. See the patients. Chances of transmission becomes less.
So, if there are any other questions? We'll just take
Anything
that.
new you want to speak out? Any new policy which is coming or any?
See, you have covered most of the issues which are there, and you have touched right from the beginning till the patient's interaction, and what Government of India is also focusing upon, that under the overwhelmed systems, we have to decongest the existing government healthcare systems, but private sector becomes a very, very important thing, which was already important and catering to about 75% of our population. So this is where, we need to have an empowered doctor, empowered healthcare staff with the doctor, because the moment doctor will start opening the clinic, even the resistance comes from the staff. So there you said that, the counter, at the clinic provides a very important, or the help desk is also a very, very informative desk, and they also feel very empowered with the help of information which they can give to the clients. They can distribute the pamphlets, they can explain to them what is and if doctor doesn't have time, maybe 5 additional minutes can be given at the health counter also, that is important. And at the end of it, the person leaves, with the better information. So, and with a rather more, information of the kind where, he feels that at no time it was that the doctor did not listen to him. All his queries go answered, whether through telemode or through the real face-to-face phone.
So another thing which I said was that if I was the policy maker, I would have suggested that suppose government says that all COVID patients will be treated under the government supervision. Fine. Yes. But then you should say after 9 days transferred. From a COVID hospital, patient should be transferred to a routine care after 9 days to be handled by the routine people. So everybody will be able to live together. Why should a patient live in a government setup for 40 days, 50 days, 60 days? They all should be transferred out. That's what I feel.
Yeah, now this is happening actually. Now we realize that, we have to start with, overall, we are going horizontal rather than being vertical towards only COVID. We have to take care of all the, aspects, whether they are maternal aspects, pediatric aspects, non-communicable diseases, communicable diseases. So we have to open up from all the fronts with the help of a, provider who is an enlightened provider and who is practicing without fear and anxiety. And as you said, follow all the precautions. And as I said normally to everyone, कि बड़े ध्यान से मिलना सबको, ना जाने किस रूप में आपको कोविड का मरीज मिल जाए. पहले हम कहते थे ना जाने किस रूप में आपको नारायण मिल जाए. So, presume everybody to be suffering from COVID and then follow precautions. Not that this patient is positive and I'm going to follow double precautions and all that. You must make precautions as part of your life. That is important.
Just close the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody, for being there with us. And thank you for the questions who are asked, and thank you for your time. And I'm sure in days to come, you will be having more and more, suggestions from your side also, and what all challenges you encountered. So thank you, Dr. Agarwal, for answering in a very, very lucid manner about the, first of all, about the 12 points, which you explained in greater depth. And the second part is that, you answered the queries, in a very user-friendly manner. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
पहली मीटिंग में डर निकाल दिया
और बेचैनी से भी।
हाथ थामा, दिल जीत लिया।
मेरा बर्थडे सेलिब्रेट किया, मेरे लिए बर्थडे केक लेकर के आए।
हर दिन जोक सुनाया।
उम्मीद दी,
हौसला दिया।
आँखों की रोशनी की।
मौत के मुंह से खींच लाए।
खुले आसमान से मिलवाया।
दोबारा घर से मिलवाए, माँ से।
माँ जैसा ख्याल रखा। थैंक यू डॉक्टर।
थैंक यू।
थैंक यू डॉक्टर।
थैंक यू।
Thank you for saving my life.
थैंक यू।
You're my hero.
Sun Pharma, reaching people, touching lives.